Howdy! Welcome back to the Big Blue Workshop. Our scout troop decided they wanted to have a knife throwing and axe throwing camp out, so this is a documentation of how I did it. I got a hold of some old lumber from one of the other scout leaders and pulled all the nails out of every board, separated each board because they were all nailed together with 10-penny nails, and there were about 40 of them. Once I got them all removed, I was able to mill them all down into the parts I needed for my knife throwing target. I wanted this to be an end grain knife throwing target, so I cut these boards into 3.5-foot blocks and was going to use those to create a 48-inch by 48-inch target that's an end grain, so it's like a giant cutting board. As you might imagine, the process was horribly painstaking since I had to make about 450 cuts. Yes, I doubled up the 2x4s and cut them 2 at a time, but it still took a really long time to get it done. Once I got all 450 blocks stacked, I had to cut something to back it with. I just used this thin Luan paneling as a basic backer. I figured since I was going to glue all the blocks together anyway, all I needed this backer for was just to hold them in place until the glue set. I built a frame around the board and started gluing. Obviously, I couldn't just glue everything at once and clamp it all together in a giant piece. I had to work in stages, so I would put about 2 rows of blocks in at a time, clamp them down, and work on other things as I let them dry. Working on this on and off, it only took me about 2 days to get everything glued up. I continued to work on the base of the project while things were drying. These are the legs that I was going to use and the support brackets I was going to use for the base of the actual target. The center of the target is 60 inches off the ground, so the lengths of the boards were 80 inches tall, and then I made the legs about 40 inches on either side. The final few rows went in pretty easy, but again, it all needed to set up and dry for a few hours just to be sure it didn't fall apart on me. Back to the legs, I wanted to be able to disassemble this piece, so I made a fairly simple brace system so that I could just remove the base off of the actual upright piece. I just figured out how to get that done using 2 carriage bolts on each side of the target. Since my shop isn't big enough to stretch out 80 inches worth of lumber, I actually had to do this on my back patio. I wanted these to be as official as possible, so I looked up the template for a official target and used a string and a screw to create the correct sizes for all the circles. I then cut all those circles out with a jigsaw and used it as a template, since I'm making 3 of these, and I'll make another video to show you the other ones I made. According to the World Axe Throwing League, I had to make these lines exactly 20 millimeters wide. I don't know how close I got, but I think I got pretty close. I forgot to film painting the actual knife throwing target, but here I am painting one of the axe throwing targets. Spoiler alert. As long as I got everything centered, everything painted up pretty nice. I figured out though that I didn't like having the little gaps that were left, because when you make a template you have to have something to hold it all together. I figured out how to just take the whole template and turn it sideways and paint in the little gaps that were left by the template. There's one little red dot in the middle for the bullseye, so I just made a small template and painted it up. Here's where I actually tilt it sideways. You can see where it's just cocked at an angle, and then I can paint in those gaps that were left by the template. Once I was done painting this thing, I realized it weighed 300 pounds. By the time I tried to lift it, I was starting to think I needed help, but I'm still a pretty big fella and I managed to get it tilted forward without hurting myself too bad. Of course, my son stuck the first knife he threw at it, and then it took me a few tries to get it done right. Well, I'll figure it out someday. Hope you enjoyed watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Have a great day.